there, I'm Dee Dee Morton from the Oracle Mobile Platform team. In this video, I'll show you the Lifecycle Management features that are built into Oracle Mobile Cloud Service. Today's mobile users demand mobile apps that are updated frequently and run flawlessly, but you also need to support users who have older devices or are reluctant to upgrade. You need a comprehensive strategy for managing the lifecycle of your mobile application assets. MCS makes this easy by providing built-in features for managing the lifecycle of your mobile app assets from development through testing and production. Oracle Mobile Cloud Service comes out of the box with 3 separate environments for managing the lifecycle of your mobile application assets. The development environment, where developers create, edit, and test your application assets. The staging environment, where your QA team tests the assets to identify problems, and the production environment, where your mobile administrator makes the assets available for wide use internally or by customers. Each environment is completely isolated from one another. Each environment also has a unique set of policies that the mobile administrator can modify to control the behavior of that environment. Application development begins, as you would expect, in the development environment. You begin by creating a new asset, such as a mobile backend or custom API. For our example, let's use a custom API that's called Maps and Street Views. When you create a new asset, it's in draft state, which means that you can edit and modify it as much as you require until you're satisfied that it's ready for formal testing. When you're finished working on the asset, you publish it to lock down the changes, and you can no longer modify that version of the asset. The published asset is now ready to deploy to another environment. When you're ready, the mobile administrator deploys the asset to the staging environment where your QA team can test it. During deployment, MCS will flag any potential deployment issues, such as version conflicts or missing implementations, giving the mobile administrator an opportunity to cancel the deployment and fix any issues. After the asset is deployed to the staging environment, your QA team can test your assets to identify problems. If problems are found, you go back to work on fixes in the development environment. We'll talk more about that later. When you have a good working version of your asset in the staging environment and your QA team has signed off, the mobile administrator can deploy the asset to the production environment where the asset will be available widely for use internally or by customers. Now, in a real-world development scenario, you rarely go directly from development to staging and then production without multiple iterations of fixes and testing in the development and staging environments. So when QA finds problems with an asset, you go back to the development environment and create a new version of the asset. Remember, you've already published the first version of the asset, so you can no longer modify it. You must create a new version. You can move the older version of the asset to the trash to remove the asset from the main view, but to make any changes, you still need to create a new version of the asset. MCS won't allow you to create an asset that has the same name and version as an asset that's already in the trash. When you create a new version, notice that the asset is in draft mode again. You'll be prompted to specify a version number. Here's how versioning in MCS works. Assets have a major and minor version to help you identify between stable, backward-compatible new versions of assets and those that break backward compatibility. When you create a new version of an existing asset, you choose whether the new version is backward compatible. If a change is backward compatible, then it won't negatively affect existing clients of the asset. For example, you could add a new API to a mobile backend and still support the existing APIs that are defined in the backend without negatively affecting existing clients. If a change is backward compatible, you increment the minor version and the major version stays the same. As a best practice, when you're creating backward compatible versions, you should use the major and minor versions recommended by MCS. When you create a new version that's not backward compatible, you increment the major version. Changes to the major version indicate that you have made a significant change to the asset that would negatively affect existing clients. If you make a major change to a mobile backend, any mobile applications that use a backend will need to upgrade the mobile app to consume the changes. In our example, we're creating a new version to fix a bug, so our change is minor, and we increment the minor version for each iteration. Here you can see several different versions and how the versioning impacts backward compatibility. Going back to our example, after you've fixed and tested the new version of your asset in the development environment, you publish the asset. And then the mobile administrator deploys it to the staging environment, where the cycle of testing and fixes continues until you have a version of the asset that you're ready to promote to the production environment. When the mobile administrator promotes a new version of an asset to the production environment, the older version will continue to function alongside the new version to support any applications that are running against it. In fact, you can have multiple versions of your mobile backend running simultaneously, with each version of the mobile backend exposing different versions of assets, such as APIs, to the mobile apps. When a specific version of a mobile backend is no longer used or is unstable, you can change its state to inactive and it will no longer accept requests from mobile applications. The ability to deactivate a mobile backend gives you complete control over retiring the mobile backend at the end of its life cycle. So those are the basics of how versioning works in MCS. At this point, you might be wondering, which MCS assets are versionable? Let's go over that quickly. The versionable assets in MCS include mobile backends, collections, custom APIs and API implementations, connectors, and realms. Each of these assets goes through the full life cycle from draft to published and deployed and can have major and minor versions. These assets also have dependencies on related assets, which means that MCS will prompt you when you need to change the state of a dependent asset in order to publish or deploy a related asset. All right, so now you understand the basics of the MCS lifecycle. From here, you'll want to come up with a plan for coordinating the promotion and testing of your mobile assets throughout the development lifecycle. You'll also want to check out other videos available on the Oracle Mobile Platform YouTube channel.